Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Campus Care Ed Talks. Ed Talks is a platform where educators and leaders come on board and express their viewpoints related to education and society. Our topic for the day is community service for student development, and to express her viewpoints on the same, we have with us Miss Srividya Sridhar, ma'am, principal of DPSG School, Palam Vihar. A very warm welcome, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Mahek. Good afternoon, everyone.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for taking out your time. It's an honor to have you on board.
It's my pleasure too.
So, ma'am, speaking of community service, ma'am, what is community service, ma'am? If you could, explain, and why do you think it is important for the students nowadays?
Yeah, it's indeed a very good question, Mahek. Thank you so much. See, one must give a simple interpretation to this. It means serving the community voluntarily for the benefit and betterment of the community. And when we say voluntarily, it is driven by self motivation, and there should be no expectation of anything in return. So, now coming to your second part of the question as to how is it important for students? It is indeed important that children need to understand what it means to be a responsible citizen. So, firstly, they learn to give. That is, students need to be taught what it means to give. It need not be about giving only material things, it could be service, such as sharing knowledge with those who can't afford it.
Yeah.
So, they need to realize that not everyone in this world is equally privileged. The purpose of community service is to prepare students to be responsible citizens. Say, for instance, in schools, taking the school as a context, I can say the most common example of is where school students propagate the message of keeping one's surrounding clean. The initial activity, for this engagement starts with students carrying out some research. Then they set to spread this message to the community they live and initiate activities in this direction and educate the people around them about the health and other issues that emerge from an unclean environment. So now, secondly, what emerges from this is that they learn to be responsible citizens by advocating issues that are important to the society. So the outcome is not just social service. It would have amplified the knowledge of this particular issue because they have done research, they've read about it, and they'll have facts and evidences when they take it to the community. So the learning outcome would be immense. And besides this, would also make them realize that many of the services that they take for granted are done by others, say the community helpers, and they get an understanding of the hardships that such helpers face while rendering such services. And there's one more thing. Thirdly, by introducing them early on to community service, they learn and experience the pleasure of or pleasure and satisfaction of serving others. So we as educators, we hope that being self-disciplined and caring would become their second nature if they are exposed to diverse environments where they can play an active role and engage with the wider society. So I think that explains why it is important for school students.
Absolutely, ma'am. Thank you so much. Very beautifully explained what community service is and why is it important for students. So, ma'am, moving forward, you were just telling a lot, a lot of benefits, a lot of advantages of community services. So, do you think that this community services helping, the other students or whosoever, does it help the students to become well-rounded students, ma'am?
Definitely. See, as I said in my previous answer, the exposure is immense.
Yeah.
And today, if you see, students are interconnected with the world around them, not only students, every individual. And as educators, we need to educate the whole child, not just teach them the core subjects without giving them an understanding of their real life relevance and connection. So that is important. That's the key. So what we do, today, the modern education focuses on the 21st century skills so that students learn to empathize with the world around them. And they become aware of the social issues such as menace of plastics, effects of deforestation, inequality of wealth, income distribution, and all these things. And so I can give you an example here. Our school students participated, that is the primary wing students.
Yeah.
no plastic campaign. What primary school children are about, say, fourth and fifth graders are about 9 to 10 years old, where they went to different marketplaces, residential societies, and public places, and they enacted a Nukkad Natak to convey the perils of plastic pollution and they distributed cloth bags, which they themselves, they made it. Why? To discourage the use of plastic bags. So this is also a form of service to the community and a valuable contribution. We got to appreciate that. Alongside their effort in this campaign, what happens? Their creative side gets enhanced. When I say creative, because Nukkad Natak comes, it's a form of art, it's a folk art, isn't it? So the creative side gets enhanced and they learn to voice their views confidently in a healthy way. So the communication skill also improves. So this is all example of how the holistic development of student happens. And similarly, another initiative by our school students was each one nurtures one. So we are talking about deforestation, we are talking about global warming. So something to connect with that, where they donated saplings to various members in the community to encourage them to adopt a plant and take care of it. Through this initiative, they were able to put forward the views as to why plants are needed to save the planet today. So this is a lesson they learn in their SST, social studies class, but they were able to apply the knowledge through this campaign. So that's how, the holistic development of students happen when you engage them in community service.
Absolutely, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am. Moving forward, ma'am, do you believe that volunteering, when they volunteer for fosters, does it also helps in student development, ma'am?
Absolutely. Again, it's an extension of the previous question itself. It certainly does. It enhances their self-worth. They value their own being. The satisfaction that students get, after accomplishing such services is immense. I mean, we make them write reflections. And that's where we see the beauty of their expression and how they say that, oh, I was so happy when, this thing happened, the outcome of it. They thoroughly enjoy it. It's a humble experience, and children learn to see and understand that the society is not the same for all. Besides this, the skills such as interpersonal skills, communication, time management, leadership, followership, teamwork, problem solving, decision making, prioritizing, all these are called transferable skills, and they develop, such skills through the experience of volunteering. And there are some of this, and these are actually, if you see, the skills that employers want to see in their potential candidate. So that's why I would say that yes, it does foster student development.
Absolutely, ma'am. Lastly, ma'am, do you think that community services should be, a part of school curriculum? And ma'am, if yes, then do you think the students should be entitled to some kind of, let's say extra marks or some extra benefits for if they, so that they are attracted? And moreover, ma'am, if you could give us a few examples, how can we, include this community services in our curriculum, ma'am?
Sure. See, my view would be that yes, social community service or voluntary service or whatever different names you call, it has to be integrated into the curriculum. It's part of the curriculum. So no longer you call it extracurricular. It's part of the co-curricular. And ideally, if I'm given an option, I wouldn't attach a grade to that. So why? Because when you say that it's a voluntary service and nothing in return is to be given to the students, so why give them a grade? They should be doing it in any case. But however, there should be some measurable parameters and guidelines so that the work done by students can be recognized. So for that reason, yes, I would say yes, something in the form of a grade can be given, but that should not impact their overall results. It should be that way. But again, why there are different views. As some would say that yes, grades should be given, and the other view is that no, it should not be given. But to justify yes, why some sort of measurable parameter to evaluate the work done by them is essential, is that some of them are intrinsically motivated. Intrinsically means they don't need any kind of push.
Yes.
They don't need to be told. Whereas some, and they would do it, genuinely, they'll take pride in whatever they do. But for some of them, they need that little push, who need that extrinsic motivation. And that is where the grades play the magic. And besides grades, it also enhances what children have to realize, especially for the older grades, school children, we say, especially in 11 and 12. We tell them engaging in such community service, it could be their internship or working with an NGO or, initiating a drive in the school. Sometimes we also encourage our children to do bake sale and contribute the money to an orphanage. So all these are some of the activities which we keep doing on a regular basis. All these will enhance their profile on the resume. But the overall idea is to build a positive attitude towards community service and hence keeping a grade attached to that. Or rather, I would say some kind of recognition that, yes, the student has done this much, so I'm evaluating him or her on based on these parameters. So that would come handy. So now, talking about some of the examples that I can give here is, a very simple thing. Again, one of our students with his grandfather, they both live in a society where they found that there are quite a few stray dogs.
Yeah.
And we know the kind of issues that we face with stray dogs. But what this kid did was, when he being having that soft corner, they both came up with a kind of an initiative where, in a responsible way, he started feeding the stray dogs, took care of the sterilization, and he started taking care of those. Not he didn't take the dogs into his home, but then they were on the road, but then he started that responsible feeding. So when we asked him, what do you mean by responsible feeding? So he said, ऐसे हम खाना फेंक के नहीं आते. We place something, a newspaper or something on which the food is laid out. I wait there till the dog finishes the food, and then I take the newspaper and then I put it in the trash can, and then I leave that place. And that's what I wanted to encourage. And I went from house to house and I told people that, please, you can also feed the dog or you can call me. I'll do that. But this is how it has to be fed. So who taught that kid? Nobody. So, and the beauty is that two generations, the grandfather and the grandson, they came together and then they started the initiative, which is an ongoing initiative. So such children are intrinsically motivated.
Absolutely, ma'am. I think that's very thoughtful, the example you were just giving. And thank you so much, ma'am, again for being here today. It was lovely listening to your viewpoints and experiences, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Mehak. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, ma'am. And for all the viewers watching us out, do not forget to subscribe to our channel for more stuff like this. Thank you, ma'am. Have a great day.
You too. Thank you so much.